Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video.
Hello, Papa. This is Goddess Jules up here. I'll be narrating today's cross-dressing story. Enjoy. Jake was the guy every man aspired to be, and every woman wanted to date. His 6'3" frame was more than just tall. It was chiseled with muscles that seemed to be ripped every time he moved. Mornings for Jake started at 4:30 a.m. The blaring of his alarm was swiftly shut off, a ritual he had practiced for years. Jake's apartment was proof of his alpha lifestyle. Dumbbells scattered around, posters of Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime, and a fridge stocked with protein shakes, chicken breasts, and broccoli. The gym was Jake's life. He often spent hours there pushing his body to its limits. Bench pressing, squats, deadlift. There wasn't a workout Jake wasn't familiar with. His fellow gym goers, men and women alike, were often jealous of his strength and looks. Jake's social media was just as intense. Every other evening, his phone buzzed nonstop. Texts poured in from various women. Some he'd met at the gym, others at the club, and a few from dating apps. His weekends were a blur of dates, nightclubs, and parties. But it wasn't just physical dominance that he got. He was also a master of social dynamics. At work, he was the top salesman, known for closing deals that seemed impossible. His colleagues are often jealous of his charm, how he could make clients laugh, and persuade them all in a single meeting. This was Jake's life, structured, impressive, and alpha. And yet there were moments, often late at night, when a lingering thought would trouble him. Was this it? Was this the life he was destined to lead? The dates started feeling monotonous. Conversations with friends seemed repetitive. At the gym, he just wasn't as motivated as before. He was searching for something different, a break from his life. One evening, after another successful date with a Tinder match, Jake sat alone in his apartment. He was surrounded by his alpha life, but it felt empty inside. Jake wanted to escape, to find a place where no one knew him, where he could start fresh, away from the weight of expectations and the pressure of maintaining an image. Acting on an impulse, Jake pulled out his laptop. He began searching for destinations far from the familiar city. Somewhere he could get lost. Somewhere he could find himself. And as the screen displayed images of exotic locations, one particular place caught his eye. A paradise island in the middle of nowhere. Without giving it a second thought, Jake booked a ticket, hoping to find the change he so desperately sought. Little did he know that this trip would not just change his surroundings, but also maybe his identity. The next few days, Jake packed his bags with essential clothes and left behind his workout supplements and gym gear. Instead, he threw in some casual wear, flip-flops, and a couple of novels. He also decided to leave behind his smartphone, taking only a basic phone for emergencies. At the airport, there were no buddies to send him off or girlfriends to wave goodbye. He wanted this trip to be a solo journey, away from all the connections of his past life. As he waited to board the plane, he felt a mix of emotions. He had traveled before, but this trip was different. The airplane journey was long, and Jake spent most of his time looking out the window or reading a book. He didn't engage in any conversations with the person sitting next to him. As the plane descended, Jake caught his first glimpse of the island. It was a beautiful sight. Clean waters with golden shores and green trees painted the landscape. It looked like a postcard of those islands you see in movies. Once on the ground, Jake rented a small scooter to move around and headed straight to the hotel he had booked. The hotel was modest but cozy. The room was simple, with wooden furnishings and a balcony that overlooked the beach. Jake could hear the sound of waves crashing against the shore. He stood at the balcony and felt a sense of calm wash over him. On his first day, Jake decided to explore the island. He rode his scooter along the winding roads, through the dense forests and along serene beaches. The island had a slow pace of life, something Jake definitely needed. Everything seemed a bit more feminine, too, but he didn't mind. It was good to let his alpha feelings go. Jake spent his days swimming in the sea, reading under the shade of palm trees and tasting local foods. The island had delicious fruits Jake had never heard of. He loved trying different things he had never ate before. He was ready to try anything new. As days turned into weeks, Jake developed a routine. Mornings were for long walks on the beach, collecting shells and watching the sunrise. Afternoons were spent exploring different parts of the island or simply napping under a tree. Evenings were for delicious meals, not thinking about his gym diet. One day, while wandering around the local market, Jake stumbled upon a small boutique. The shop was filled with beautiful handcrafted items, jewelry, pottery, and clothes. The colors and designs seemed unlike anything Jake had seen before. Curious, Jake tried on a few clothes. They were loose and comfortable, perfect for the island weather. As he looked at himself in the mirror, Jake noticed something. Although the clothes were marketed for males, they looked somewhat girly. Who cares, he thought, ready to try anything new. If it looked a bit feminine, so be it. He bought a few outfits, not worrying about how they would fit into his alpha image back home. One day, as he was trying out a new dish at the local eatery, he noticed a girl sitting at a table nearby. She had long brown hair, a vibrant dress, and an infectious laugh. Her name was Mia. Mia was also a visitor to the island, but unlike Jake, she was on a creative journey, seeking inspiration for her fashion designs. Jake learned that Mia was a fashion designer from a nearby city, and she often traveled to find new ideas for her work. As they chatted, Jake found himself talking about his alpha lifestyle. In return, Mia spoke about her love for fashion and how she had always been drawn to the art of dressing up. One afternoon, Mia invited Jake to her temporary workspace, a small hut she had rented for her stay. As Jake stepped inside, he felt awkward. For the first time in his life, he didn't want to live his alpha lifestyle. The room was filled with fabrics of different textures, colors, and patterns. There were sketches pinned to the walls, and sewing machines sat in the corner. Mia showed Jake some of her designs. There were dresses, skirts, and blouses. Noticing Jake's interest, Mia jokingly suggested he try on one of her designs. She pulled out a dress with a floral pattern and held it up against Jake. At first, Jake laughed it off, dismissing the idea. But Mia kept pushing him. After a bit of coaxing, Jake hesitantly agreed. Mia handed him the dress, a pair of soft shoes, and a wig. She directed him to a small changing area behind the curtain. With a deep breath, Jake began to change. The feel of the dress against his skin was strange, yet soothing. Slipping on the shoes, he noticed they were surprisingly comfortable. The wig was the final touch. Because he was into bodybuilding, he didn't need to shave his body, making everything feel smooth. When Jake stepped out from behind the curtain, he looked in the mirror and hardly recognized the person staring back at him. The dress fit him well, the wig gave him a completely new look, and the shoes added a bit of femininity. He looked a bit muscular, but with clothes like that, his femininity shined through. A feminized alpha male. Mia then began to show him how to walk, move, and even dance in his new outfit. The two spent hours having fun, with Mia teaching Jake the basics of fashion, makeup, and posture. Jake felt awkward, weird, but also happy. Maybe this was the break he was looking for. That night, as Jake lay in bed, he couldn't stop thinking about the day's events. The feel of the dress against his skin, the lace, the heels, the weight of the wig on his head. Over the next few days, Mia and Jake spent more time together. Mia introduced Jake to the world of fashion, taking him to a local market, local boutiques, and even a fashion show. Jake learned about different fabrics, styles, and trends. Still hesitant, with Mia's push, he kept trying on different blouses and dress, skirts and undergarments, heels, sandals, and so much more. Mia successfully feminized Jake. Jake became more obsessed with the thickness of his legs and bottom than with his upper body muscles, wanting to trade his muscular look for a cute, feminine one. One morning, Mia had a special plan. She had bought a variety of clothes, makeup items, and wigs for Jake to try. It was going to be a full makeover day. Mia started with makeup. She explained each item to Jake. Foundation to make his skin look smooth, eyeliner to highlight his eyes, lipstick for his lips, and blush to give a rosy glow to his cheeks. Jake sat still as Mia applied the makeup, feeling the brushes tickling his face. When she was done, Jake looked in the mirror. He was amazed. His face looked different, softer, more feminine. Next was the wig. Mia had chosen a long, curly, chestnut-colored one. Jake felt strange as Mia fit the wig on him. It was tight at first, but as she adjusted it, it began to feel more comfortable. The long hair fell on his shoulders and Jake felt its weight. He swayed his head from side to side, feeling the hair move with him. Now, it was time for the dress. Mia had picked a knee-length, royal blue dress. The dress was made of soft material, and as Jake put it on, it felt cool against his skin. Despite his muscles, the dress fit decently well. He looked at himself in the mirror, hoping his outfit would get the attention of other guys. Mia then showed him some matching shoes, shiny blue heels. Jake had never worn heels before and was nervous. Mia told him to take small steps, and soon Jake was walking around the room with ease. The final touch was jewelry. Mia put a silver necklace around Jake's neck, and matching earrings dangled from his ears. She then placed new bangles on his wrist, making a light jingle sound. The transformation was complete. The two friends decided to take a walk outside. At first, Jake was nervous about what people would say or think, but as they walked through the streets, he noticed something surprising. Most people didn't care, but every now and then, a cute guy might have looked. Jake felt confident. With each step, he felt more and more comfortable in his new attire. He enjoyed the swish of the dress against his legs, the bounce of the wig on his back, and the click of the heels on the pavement. The day went by quickly. Mia and Jake visited various places, tried out new foods, and even did a bit of shopping. As evening approached, they sat on the beach, watching the waves crash against the shore. Mia turned to Jake and said, "Today was fun, wasn't it?" Jake nodded, agreeing. He thanked Mia for showing him that being a beta was much more fun than being alpha. The two friends spent a few more days exploring the island, with Jake trying out different outfits each day. He began to experiment with makeup, trying out different shades of lipstick and eyeshadow. He also tried different wigs, some short, some long, some straight, some curly. As the days passed, Jake began to feel more and more comfortable in his new identity. He no longer felt the need to hide or pretend. He was just being himself, and it felt good. On his last day on the island, Jake packed his bags with a heavy heart. He was sad to leave this place that had given him so much happiness, but he was also excited to go back to the city and start a new chapter in his life. Mia came to see him off. They hugged, promising to stay in touch. As Jake boarded the plane, he looked out the window, taking one last look at the island. Jake's plane landed, and he took a deep breath. He was back in the city, but things felt different now. He felt less confident and anxious. But he had to go through this. When he reached the taxi stand, he gave the driver his address. The driver, an older man with gray hair, gave Jake a quick look in the rearview mirror but didn't say anything. Jake noticed but didn't mind. When the taxi stopped in front of Jake's apartment building, he paid the driver and got out. He could see a few neighbors on their balconies watering plants or reading newspapers. Mrs. Henderson, an elderly woman who lived next door, was one of them. She squinted at Jake, looking a bit puzzled. Jake waved and entered the building. Inside his apartment, Jake looked around. Everything was as he had left it. His workout equipment, the big TV, the photos of his friends and family. But now, there were also bags filled with dresses, shoes, wigs, and makeup. Over the next few days, Jake began to adjust to his new life. He started by organizing his wardrobe. He hung up his dresses, arranged his shoes, and set up a special corner for his wigs and makeup. Each morning, he'd pick out an outfit, do his makeup, and set out for the day. People in his building were surprised and didn't know who this new girl was. The kids would stare, some adults would whisper, but Jake didn't let it bother him. One day, Jake was checking his mail. He ran into Mark, an old friend from the gym. Mark looked surprised to see Jake in a dress, but he tried to hide it. "Hey, Jake," he said. "Been a while. How was your trip?" Jake smiled. "It was great, Mark. Learned a lot about myself." They chatted for a bit, and Jake explained his time on the island and meeting Mia. Mark listened and nodded. When they said goodbye, Mark gave Jake a pat on the back. "Good for you, man. Do what makes you happy. Anyways, should I still call you Jake?" "I'm glad you asked. Call me Jace." Word spread and soon more friends came to visit. Some were shocked, others curious, but most were supportive. They asked questions. Jace answered honestly. She shared stories of her adventures on the island, the fun times with Mia, and her newfound love for dresses. One of his alpha gym buddies, who was into crossdressers and trans girls, saw his shot. Asked Jace on a date. Jace now fully enjoyed the feminine lifestyle and said yes. One date couldn't hurt, but she already knew deep inside, instead of being the alpha male, she wanted to be with the alpha male.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.